Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
Guys, we're back. Apparently there's some match going on. Amrita and the Kareem Twitter just told me. I don't know. I mean, we have better things to do. We're talking about a Salman Khan movie this week, which is kind of bringing the world together, whereas cricket is maybe, distancing countries together. So maybe we're on the right side of history here. Like Salman Khan is clearly.
Oh dear.
Guys, so we're new episode of Khandaan. We're talking about Bharat, obviously, because there's nothing else to talk about. I think we're how do you feel? Like, we wanted to record this last week, right, guys? And we couldn't do that because of me and because of Eid, obviously. There's more reasons. But how do you feel that the reception of the movie has been, Amrita? Has it kind of like died down? Has it what's kind of been the general vibe of it?
So I know that it had like the biggest opening of a Salman Khan movie in years or something, right? Like, yeah. I think I saw you talking about it, or like Haroon or...
Yeah. It's broken a lot of records, like biggest Salman Khan opener ever. Salman Khan has now delivered the most 100 crore or all-time India hits of any actor. And also in the UK, it's been the biggest Bollywood opening ever. So there have been some records set. Okay. But these records, they're so specific. You can kind of set them however you want as a PR exercise, right?
Yeah, like there's been no conversation about this film. Do you know what I mean? Like, usually, like, either you hate it or you love it. There's usually like a lot of people saying a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But with this movie, like, it came and it went. Like, I didn't see anybody say much about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it made a lot of money, and then on the other hand, it's not generating as much conversation given the content of this movie, what it deals with across many decades of Indian history and the history of the subcontinent as a whole. So what, it's very fascinating and surprising that, a movie as big as this, an Eid release, would generate so less conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we're going to get into more of Bharat, but let's talk about other things first. We want to give a quick review of Chopsticks, which came out on Netflix. We want to give our thoughts about Saaho, the teaser, and it's a teaser for Super 30 or it's a proper trailer?
It's a proper trailer.
Oh, it looked so unfinished. I thought it was a teaser. And then we're going to get into Bharat. But
Asim burning it straight away.
Asim burning it up. Next episode, we're doing and this was a suggestion by one of our listeners, Lena Allen. I hope, Lena, I'm pronouncing your name correctly, because I'm pronouncing it in a very desi way. So this theme suggestion was the Khan historical, which I kind of like as a term, because they're historical. So the three movies are Veer, Mangal Pandey and Ahsoka. We didn't put 1947 Earth in it, although great suggestion by Abdullah, but Amir is not there too long in it. Otherwise, we need to put Heram in it. And Lagan we're keeping for another time, for another theme. So I think that's kind of a cool matchup, right? Those three movies, I kind of want to revisit all of them, one more than the other one.
Yeah.
I wonder which one.
It'll be really interesting if everybody just, Mangal Pandey won by a landslide victory. We can definitely tell it's all the fake Russian bots.
Whatever happens, I'm definitely wearing denim bootcut jeans while recording that.
I will wear a crinoline, and then I will wear like boots with it. I can.
But like looking at these three movies, Ahsoka and Mangal Pandey had the better soundtrack by a mile. Like both of these soundtracks.
Ahsoka is amazing soundtrack.
And how beautifully is it shot, Ahsoka? Like, it's like you could just watch it with the sound off, Ahsoka. It's beautiful. And Karina, like with the kajol and the kohl, oh my god. And Mangal Pandey, I actually really want to revisit because I cannot believe it's as bad as the critical pounding it got at the time. Like,
wait, did you watch it?
I did, but it's been ages, so I just kind of want to revisit it because I can't imagine it being that bad. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't.
I don't remember much about it, but I just remember cringing my way through it. Like I just remember feeling like much secondhand.
I remember the hype around it because Amir was growing his mustache for years before this, and he was, appearing in public with that mustache and the hair, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going totally method with this and not going to wear, extensions or wear a fake mustache." And then the movie came out and it just died, that very weekend.
I think also it was like just people expecting a Lagan and it wasn't. I think that was maybe people's expectation was not there.
It was directed by Ketan Mehta.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen a Ketan Mehta film? Like, why would you expect it to be good? I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it wins, it can definitely be a good conversation, I think, right? And Veer is definitely for a lot of people so bad it's good kind of category. So let's see. Okay, so let's get going. I watched Chopsticks this weekend.
Say it again.
I saw Chopper to Sticks again this weekend.
This week Asim says funny things.
Asim mispronounces things. Edition 554. So this is kind of a Netflix original movie. It stars again. Speaking of mispronouncing, Mithilia Parker, I think her name is.
Maithili, maybe?
Is it Maithili?
Mithila Parker.
Mithila Phadke.
Palkar. Mithila Palkar. I think that's her name. I'm going with that.
I'm sorry
I'm sorry. This is
Mithila's fans.
Yeah, sorry. I can do an apology with like a cup video if you guys want. I'll get 2 cups and make a apology video if needed.
Why would you get a cup? I don't understand.
Oh, you don't know? Okay. So I didn't know this because I saw her in Caravan, and I think I reviewed it a while back. So technically, I'm the big Mithila Parkar fan here. I've seen two of her movies now, and I thought she had like a really kind of a buzzy personality, like very like in tune with how people think millennials are and all that kind of thing. And I kind of did some research, and I then figured out that she's actually like a huge online star, and she got viral fame by this song that she sang to with a cup. Like they did in what's that?
Pitch Perfect.
Well, yeah, exactly. That cup song, she did the same thing, and she got like 7 million views of it, and that she kind of then used to become kind of she starred in web series, and now she's doing movies, and she's doing Netflix show. She's clearly we're older than her target audience because we didn't know all of that, and Amrita apparently doesn't even get the cups reference. So I'm educating you guys visiting from the world of the new people, kids on the block. So that's the cup.
Tell me more, Granddad. Tell me more.
And then we have Abhay Deol for people who don't know.
So sad.
Abhay Deol was a thing a couple of years ago, and now he's not as much, unfortunately. And Amrita, like we had hopes for Abhay Deol, right? Like what happened there?
Serious hopes. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Like I think it's one of those things where I feel like, like when somebody has like too much artistic integrity and then they just like fall down an integrity black hole and then they never come out. But I think Abhay Deol is actually trying to come out. Like it's weird because there are like so many people that I think would be perfect for streaming services, like Abhay, and I don't know why we don't see like more projects with them. I think it's because streamers think like they're not making a splash in normal movies. Why would they make a splash on a streaming service? But I don't think that's true. I think the kind of people that are traditionally Abhay's audience, like his target audience, are the kind of people that would have like a Netflix account or a Amazon Prime account or whatever. And I think they would actually watch things with him. We'll see with Chopsticks. I considering that I had hopes for Abhay and like I haven't seen Chopsticks. Maybe this is like Shah Rukh's fans who are like, oh my God, we love Shah Rukh. Want to see a Shah Rukh movie? No thanks. So I think maybe that's the way it is with Abhay also. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. When the trailer came out for Chopsticks, I was genuinely interested that, I would probably watch that. But in due course of time when I don't have anything better to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the summary of Chopsticks is a gifted but insecure woman is in for a transformative experience when she enlists an enigmatic con man to help her recover her stolen car from a Mumbai thug. And I would think when you look at when you listen to that pitch, you would think Netflix is the perfect place for this movie. And to a certain degree it is. But the problem is that it is a completely forgettable movie. And the problem is also that the way the interface of Netflix works, it doesn't get any promotion. It just suddenly gets dumped there. And there's such a flood of content coming. If you haven't watched it in the first 2 weeks, you'll completely forget about it. Nobody will be talking about it. It's not going to be a big thing. And I honestly feel it's also not executed well. When Bharat came out, somebody tweeted, what is the point of this movie? Bharat. What is the point of Bharat? And we'll get into that when we do our review. But watching Chopsticks, that was my question. What is the point of this movie? And having watched the whole thing, I still can't figure it out. You would think it's kind of an easygoing watch on a Sunday afternoon, like Sujoy says, when you have nothing else to watch. But even then, you know what's going to happen if you do that? You're going to get on your phone, you're going to start tweeting or Instagramming or whatever, and you're going to forget that the movie was on for an hour, 20 minutes, and you won't even remember that you actually watched it or not. So Mithila's breaking this very meek, traditional girl who doesn't stand up for herself. She's a pushover. She works as a translator for Chinese visitors in India. So they'll come like on guided tours and she'll explain to them everything in Chinese. And she wants to kind of progress in her career, but her English isn't good enough apparently, or she's not modern enough. And she's not getting the right opportunities. She is able to buy her car, and the first day she also very her parents seem to be very dominating, so they say take the car to the temple for a puja, which I didn't even know that that's a thing, that people take a car for. Is this my total ignorance? Is this a thing?
Oh, it's a big thing.
Okay. So she takes her...
That's Asim being burger chop.
So she takes the car to the thing. She asks the parking attendant to park the car, but the parking attendant is a thief and he takes the car straight away. And then it's about this quest to find that car. She asks the help of Abhay Deol, who does not have a name in this movie. His name is The Artist. And he is such a weird character, guys. Like, he's really into cooking. Like first time you see him, he's cooking like this salmon, with a crust on it, and there's no explanation why he's cooking. And he's got this really fancy kitchen, like a studio kind of thing. He's not recording it. He's not trying new dishes. Apparently he's making lasagna, but he's giving it to beggars in the street. He's also... Yeah, this is an actual thing. And then he's also like a motivational guru. He's like giving these very deep thought advice to everybody, especially to Mithila Palkar. And then he also cracks safes. So he's like all these things together, and none of it all gels together. I did not understand it. I see a lot of Abhay Deol fans are pushing Netflix to do a series instead of a movie where Abhay Deol's character goes out and helps people. This is a thing, guys. I really dug deep into the internet this week. So I'm letting you guys, I'm bringing you news from the internet. And even that wouldn't work. Like, the character is not cohesive or coherent enough to justify spending that much money with him or time with him. And we also have Vijay Raz, who's kind of the main thug. And Vijay Raz is doing what it's Vijay Raz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vijay Raz is doing what Vijay Raz has been doing for the last thing. He's playing this, Dada Bhai type of character. He did the same thing in Dilli Belly we were talking about. He's doing the same thing he's doing in Made in Heaven. It's kind of the same character, but now he has a Muslim beard instead of a different haircut. And he has because everybody's quirky, right? Mithila is so quirky because she speaks Chinese. Abhay Deol is so quirky because he likes to cook. And Vijay Raz is so quirky because he has a big bakra which he sends to bakra fights. And his bakra, he's so quirky, he's called Bahubali. And that's a joke. It's a joke that gets revisited at least 7-8 times in the movie, none of which I laughed even once. It's all of this thing together. It's a mishmash. She gets her car. Everybody learns the lessons. She pushes Abhay Deol to cook in front of, who's that famous cook in India? Sanjeev Kumar?
Sanjeev Kapoor,
yeah, that one. And, she understands that Bahubali, Vijay Raz understands that Bahubali shouldn't fight. He treats him like his son, so he shouldn't have him fight. Sorry if I'm spoiling the movie for people, but I feel I'm doing like I'm doing
service.
I am, because I'm saving you. People. I'm saving you 1.5 hours of your life. It's a shame. It's a shame because I think this is the place. This is where Netflix should, shine. Give these smaller budget, indie, quirky kind of movies a bigger platform. But it almost feels like, I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years ago when all of these big studios were coming to India, and there was this story about how all of the Indian studios are just scamming these Bollywood, studios, so Disney and Fox and stuff like that. They're selling content that's below par. They're making tons of money and they're not delivering at all. And what's going to happen? The big studios are just going to lose their interest in India. And I would say that to a certain degree that's happened. If you compare with how much fanfare these guys came with, what was that Chandni Chowk to China we were talking about? Like, that's not what, Fox is doing anymore in India. They've had to completely rehaul their strategy because Indian content creators pretty much bleeded them dry. And I fear this might happen to streaming too if you don't start delivering good content there. Chopsticks is not it. And I also think that other movie, Love by Square Feet, I mean, it's very much in that genre. Like, movies, if you don't watch immediately, you're not going to get anything out of it. It's really unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for Abhay Deol, and it's unfortunate for people that, are looking forward to Abhay Deol to kind of make a comeback, because he's the most talented Deol, I would say, right? This is not it, unfortunately.
I honestly don't understand how streaming works in India, though, because there's like, everyone talks about like Netflix and Amazon, but actually there's like 5 million other people who are also creating content. Like Ekta Kapoor has her own digital service that has, like, I checked it out. I think I told you guys about this. Like, I checked it out like when it first launched, and I was just like, what the is this nonsense? Because it was. But the thing is, like, she knows what she's doing, right? Because she serves to this very strong market in India. And I think maybe in Pakistan as well, where she has like this very, like, her company has its own brand and they make a certain kind of content that everybody loves to bitch about and like criticize. But, it's running for ages and ages. And people watch it in their millions, and she's basically taken that and sort of built it up into like the sort of raunchy brand online.
Right.
And
I think that's the image that they are going for. Like, this is too hot for TV, and we will go for the streaming platform and make R-rated versions of whatever, you know.
Like, you should see some of the stuff they have, man. Oh my God.
What's this platform called? What is it called?
Alt Balaji.
Alt Balaji.
That's what it's called. And then there's the company that owns MTV and everything. They have their own. They have their own channel. Viacom have their own channel, and they do streaming content also. Like, they have their own app and everything. And I think they were doing stuff as well.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah. They have like streaming originals that are not being shown on TV. And then Z also have their own.
Yeah, Z5, right?
And like
Z5, yeah.
And all of these are like meant to be consumed on your, like, not even your laptop, but it's supposed to be like consumed on your phone, you know, like it's made for like people, like for kids and for like people, because data is so cheap in India. So you just watch it on your phone, on your daily commute or whatever.
Yeah.
So like when people come in from like Netflix and Amazon, like it's going to take them a little while to understand how to, like, what kind of people they are trying to sell their content to, and like how to reach them. Because right now it kind of feels like, I hear what you're saying, Asim, like it kind of feels a bit, I don't want to say masturbatory, but masturbatory. Yeah. Like, you know, like it's this idea of like, you know, like this is the kind of content that India should be making, and then we will make it like this. And what it is basically a sort of cheap knockoff of ideas and themes that we have seen in Hollywood. And I don't see how that's sustainable or how long that's going to work.
In my mind, I always call it the Finding Fanny symptom. Like, Finding Fanny, I don't know if you remember that movie. I think that kind of collated all of these problems that we're mentioning in one movie. And like you say, it's ideas we've seen before. It's Instagram motivational poster. It's, you know, it's a tweet that you don't, it's a quote, inspirational tweet quote that you don't know who the author is. It's all of those things together in one movie. It's it's a shame. It's a shame. Shall we move on? Let's talk about Saaho. Saaho. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
It must be. Like, how else can you pronounce it?
There are only 2 vowels in this, Asim. It's okay.
If I'm not, let me know. Like, I do like to listen to the correct pronunciation and then disregard it. So the Saaho trailer came out. I don't know much about this. And I didn't do much research about it. It does star Prabhas, weirdly Shraddha Kapoor. I have no idea what Shraddha Kapoor is in this. Jackie Shroff, and it is written and directed by Sujit.
Oh, come on. Sorry? Come on, you are disregarding Neil Nitin Mukesh in this trailer. I mean, like, my mind completely blew. Like, oh my God, he is in a Prabhas movie?
I'm not disregarding it. YouTube's official video is disregarding it because he's not in the cast list, which I'm reading from. And so it's directed and written by Sujit, who I don't know any of his work, unfortunately. Do you know who he is or what he's done before?
No,
not
me. No.
Okay. So Sujoy, man, what did you think of the?
I think the initial teaser, like, which had nothing about the movie, just Prabhas running from, or he was probably bungee jumping from a building or something like that. That came out when Bahubali 2 was doing the rounds at the cinema. Mm-hmm. And then this is the first official teaser where we get to see stuff from the movie came out. And I think I expected it to be a modern day action thriller, and they have delivered it in this teaser. It looks very well saturated. It's very high contrast, high octane action, like from inspired from many Hollywood thrillers, I suppose. There's like scenes that are that look very Mission Impossible. Him on the bike and him also flexing and reloading his arms and stuff.
That was very Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah, and the sandstorm scene from Ghost Protocol as well, and the truck flipping scene from Dark Knight. Yeah, it just it looks good.
Yeah,
it looks good.
But it's all done well. It's not done cheaply, I feel. I think that's the big thing.
Isn't it supposed to be like one of the most expensive movies ever to have been produced in India?
Yeah, that's what they're claiming in the teaser for sure. It's Amrita, what did you think of the teaser?
Well, I think there's like two things. Like one, like is this how we're gonna do it from now on for Prabhas? Like ever since he made like Bahubali, now everything needs to be the most expensive thing ever. Like, is that going to be like the marketing strategy for his films going forward? Because I don't know how long he can sustain that.
Not only that, but his movie is getting like multilingual release. So this movie is getting released in Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. So yeah, I guess he's crossed over into that North Indian market as well, because people like Bahubali that much. So they are hoping that this will break through to that market and make more money.
But I don't know how many people like Bahubali because of Prabhas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's what, like, it's sort of confusing me about this whole strategy, because I'm like, yes, people really liked Bahubali, but they liked a lot of things, different things about Bahubali. It wasn't just Prabhas. Exactly. So, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not in the movie business, so who am I to tell him, like, how to run his career? But this just seems like, as somebody with a running mouth, I just think that this is kind of weird. The other thing is, like, Shraddha's character. I know, like, all of us have talked about this before. Like, what is the point of Shraddha Kapoor? But I think it is especially obvious in this film, because it seems like a role that's tailor-made for Anushka Shetty, who's, like, a goddess and who is would be really good in a role like this, like, especially when she's having that little back and forth with Prabhas, and Prabhas is like, oh, those are my fans, and she's like, why are they so violent? And he's like, intense fans.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Fans. Like, that kind of stuff is like, like, I've seen Prabhas and Anushka do that kind of like banter and stuff in other films, and they're like perfect together. And I think that for like people who've known Prabhas in like other movies from Telugu, I think for them that's going to be a bit of a problem.
And also, I think if you're trying to also cross over to like North India or Bollywood or Hindi kind of thing, why Shraddha? Like, I don't know, is Shraddha the way in? Like, does she have like this huge fan following that you kind of like piggyback off? I don't understand it. I thought, like, because I don't follow like Telugu cinema as much, I knew about the movie, but there was a bit of online buzz. So I was like, oh, has the teaser released already? But I went instead and saw this promo of Shraddha in Saaho instead, and where she's kind of holding a gun, and I was like, man, she can't even stand and hold a gun convincingly. Like, she's a terrible actress. Like, I do not understand her appeal at all. Because I'm thinking of which movies I've liked her in, and I can't think of any, to be honest. Like, I've not seen.
You didn't like what are you saying? You didn't like Aitihasik ABCD?
What is that? I've not even seen that.
Anybody Can Dance with Varun Dhawan. Directed by the most Aitihasik Remo.
Aitihasik Remo bhai. No, I've not seen that movie. I saw her in the one with Tiger Shroff, which actually feels very similar to what she's doing here. With the whole flipping and a thing like that. But I think the trailer looks great. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think Dharma will probably shaking in their Gucci bootsies watching this thing, because, this is what they're trying to do. And it looks like Telugu cinema is doing this effortlessly. Sorry.
You took a lot of effort in saying
the pronunciation was not effortlessly, and I'm doing it again. But so this might really be another one of those India cross all-time hits that they're trying to do with Kalang. They were clearly trying to do, and they did not manage. They failed horribly. But I mean, Telugu cinema is tapping into something that a lot of other people are trying to tap into, and I don't know what it is, but it works. I've not watched any Prabhas movie except Bahubali, which I would argue, like you said, is not a Prabhas movie, but I was looking forward to it, and I was like, wow, this looks cool. And also kudos to like Prabhas to not bank on the success of Bahubali and not do 7 other movies, instead wait and find the right project, commit to it, and then, making a big thing. Like, I think his fans just would probably, they've been clamoring for another movie, and now they get it 2 years later. They'll just, they'll be going crazy in the cinema. And I think that really are, the diehard fans he's speaking to in the teaser too. I thought it's really well done. It's really, really well done. I'm very, very impressed by this. I'm looking forward to it.
जी हाँ, इंडिया से, थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्री, चीप लेबर का देश। फिर हम सोचते हैं कि पेप्सिको का वर्ल्ड वाइड हिट कौन है, यूनिलीवर कौन चला रहा है मास्टर कार्ड, वोडाफोन, डॉइच बैंक। अगर किसी को नहीं पता तो गूगल कर लीजिए, और लगे यार ये भी गूगल कर लीजिए कि गूगल का हिट कौन है, वो भी एक इंडियन ही है।
क्या बनना चाहते हो?
कमाई तो ऐसे सबसे ज्यादा कंप्यूटर इंजीनियरिंग में है, तो
बन जाएगा।
ये आनंद कुमार जी हैं, ब्रिलियंट टीचर हैं। ये पढ़ाएंगे आज से आप लोगों को। इन्होंने पढ़ा दिया तो आप वीआईपी लोगों की वीआईपी एंट्री हो गई आईटी में।
आनंद कुमार, मास्टर ब्लास्टर, अब एक्सीडेंट कोचिंग में पढ़ाएंगे।
y minus 1 is equal to x minus x1।
इतना गलत कैसे हो सकता है भाई?
ऐसा स्टार बनाएंगे आनंद को कि दुनिया देखेगा, करोड़ों कमाएंगे।
आनंद जी अपना सेंटर शुरू किए हैं,
फ्री कोचिंग। आनंद जी, ये चीटिंग है।
So, teasers or trailers that we're not impressed with. Super 30 also had a trailer, and I think we need to go fast with this one because I'm not going to watch this movie. It looks terrible. Hrithik is terrible. The director is terrible. They apparently reinstated Vikas Bhal. He got clean shit. He's not a harasser. He didn't do anything bad, apparently, whoever the committee decides these things. So he's been reinstated. His name is on the poster. His name is on the trailer. They're proud of it. It's, they're standing behind him. And, this is it. Take it or leave it, people. What did you guys think of the Super 30 trailer? Amrita, I'm sure you have many, many thoughts.
I mean, there's the brown face, there's the accent, there's the reaction of the people online. Where do I start?
Where do we start?
Hrithik has been in the tanning salon since Mohenjo-daro, and that's the result of how he looks in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted by this movie, and it hasn't even come out.
Yeah. Have you worked on your Hrithik Roshan? Is it Bihari impression yet, Sujoy? Have you tried it already? You should.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
You should do that. You should work on it, and I think that's what people want. That's what people deserve. It looks bad, and apparently there's also like the person that it's based on has disavowed the movie, or something is going on, or he's also in a court case. This whole movie is very, very murky, right?
Yeah, apparently he's being sued by 4 of his former students or something, and they couldn't get a hold of him. So instead, they went to the court and said that Hrithik's movie should be stopped until they can find the other guy. And it's like, Hrithik ka na bad luck hi kharab hai. Like, he just can't get a break for whatever he does.
Plus, there's also the Kangana factor, which is kind of playing up again. He had to shift dates because of another movie that she was getting on that day. And again, she makes me laugh, man. Kangana makes me laugh. And then there's also the factor that online, a lot of people are saying, Pankaj Tripathi should been playing the actor because he actually looks like the actor and he's a decent actor and he can pull off a decent accent. But clearly when you're making a movie with a high budget because you need like graphic CGI to explain mathematical formulas to people, then you need Hrithik, right? Because you need to justify that amazing VFX budget that they have in this movie.
What the is with the VFX? Like he is teaching mathematics to a bunch of, rural students, and where do these holographic projections come from? Where he's like, "Oh, you are going to NASA?" Like, "Oh, okay," and then in the end, he's like circling something in the air, and he's like highlighting the number 12, and the movie is called Super 30.
You know what it reminded me of? Like, did you guys watch that really terrible Ben Affleck movie called The Accountant, where he's like an accountant by day and a killer by night? Yeah. There is a scene in that movie where he like walks into this office and like starts to do accounts. Yeah. It's like super exciting accounts where like all the numbers are coming alive and like floating around his head while he's balancing a ledger. And like I just remember laughing my head off because I just had like such a flashback to the first few years of college where I had to do like balancing sheets. And I was just like, what are you doing? And that's what this movie reminds me of.
It reminded me of the Da Vinci Code, but like when you're using the Mona Lisa to calculate the surface of a triangle.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So none of us will be watching Super 30?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Eventually, maybe after watching Chopsticks.
Yeah. I hope 30 people show up in the cinema at least. I hope that's his aim. He gets, 30 people into the cinema.
Oh, his fans are completely convinced he's going to win the national award after like watching
all his 30 fans. Yeah. No, it's bad. Hrithik, bad. Bad Hrithik. Bad. Okay, great. Let's move on to our main event. We did the poll already, right? We talked about it. Okay. Bharat. Bhai ki Bharat. Bhai ki Bharat.
Bharat.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India
71 साल पहले ये देश बना और उसी वक्त शुरू हुई मेरी कहानी। लोगों को लगता है कि एक मिडिल क्लास बूढ़े की लाइफ कितनी बोरिंग रही होगी। अब उन्हें क्या बताएं? जितने सफेद बाल मेरे सर और दाढ़ी में हैं, उससे कहीं ज्यादा रंगीन मेरी जिंदगी रही है।
The IMDb summary here is: at the cusp of India's birth as an independent nation, a family makes an arduous journey to freedom at a cost. A young boy, Bharat, makes a promise to his father that he will keep his family together no matter what. So that's from IMDb. It's directed by my favorite, Ali Abbas Zafar. It stars my favorites, Salman Khan and Katrina Kaif, Sunil Grover, Jackie Shroff, Sonali Kulkarni, lots of other people that Salman Khan likes, lots of people that Salman is doing a favor for. Apparently Varun Dhawan is in there as a young boy. In IMDb says this? Really? Weird. Okay.
What?
Yeah, I didn't see this. Okay.
Yeah, IMDb says it, but I don't know. We would remember if Varun Dhawan showed up.
Yeah. And it's an official remake of Ode to My Father, which is a Korean movie and which got quite a bit of critical praise and did apparently good box office numbers, but is impossible to find online. I tried every streaming service possible. I couldn't find it. But
I think when Bharat was announced, right, and as it was an official remake of Ode to My Father, Netflix UK was still streaming it, but then I eventually thought I'll get to it, and then it just disappeared, as movies on Netflix do.
Yeah, Bhai ki power, right? Bhai can even make movies disappear. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it, unfortunately. Sujoy, you did, right? We're going to talk about that in a little minute, I think. Let's just start with general thoughts. I mean, we started a little bit about that. It's a weird one. It's a massive hit, but also a lot of people are not talking about it that much anymore. We're only like a week after the release. And the buzz definitely has slightly died down. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a huge fan of all of these people involved. I would just straight out say it's not as good as their previous collaborations. It's definitely not as good as Sultan. It's definitely not as good as Tiger Zinda Hai. But it is, I really still enjoyed Bharat. I really did. And I really want to rewatch it again as soon as it comes out on streaming. I don't think it justified going again to the cinema to rewatch it. But I definitely want to rewatch it. And I think even rewatching the movie, I'll get more out of it than only on the first rewatch. But that's just my general thoughts. Amrita, what are your kind of general thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, I agree. Like it was one of those weird things where like there's nothing overtly offensive about it, but also there's nothing overtly good about it. Like you're just sitting there and you're just like, I kind of felt like I could feel my life pass through as I was watching like Salman's life pass through. I was just like, yes, this is what it feels like to get old eventually.
Like, you've grown older during the movie.
Yeah, I'm like aging by the minute in the thing. Like it just goes on forever. Like Asim told me it was a long film before I went in, but it was like when the interval happened, I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I've been here for the last 40 years. Yeah, it was long.
It was long. You age as much as Salman does in this movie.
Yes.
Sujoy, I was sitting next to you, so I kind of know your general thoughts. But you also saw Ode to My Father, right? So how does it compare, and what did you think of Bharat?
So my general thought on Bharat is that we have spoken about Kabir Khan doing a trilogy of movies with Salman and how Tube Light failed. I think in a similar way, Ali Abbas Zafar's trilogy with Salman, and I don't know, it's the weaker one of the three in the same fashion. So he's done Tiger Zinda Hai and Sultan and now this. But it is still a far better product than what Tube Light was. Having said that, Bharat still, like Ali Abbas Zafar still holds Bhai's image too dearly to let it go. Yeah. So that still overpowers the main character. So he is still like at however many years old, like 80 years old, he's still, people holding people, punching the shit out of them, and he's still got the Bhai image in there. So that is too dear to Ali Abbas Zafar to let that go. And I guess that's why this movie is neither here nor there. So it's trying to make him vulnerable and he's trying to make a not hero out of him at some points. But because of how the movie plays, it's a bit confused. And that's why, because the main character in Ode to My Father is this guy who's been through a lot. He's a survivor of war. He's been, sacrificing all his life for his family, for his brother or his mother or his, the promise to his father that he is not able to let go. And I think that emotional connect is somewhere lost in between, jumping through the many events that Bharat goes through. And that's why I just couldn't really like connect to it, but except for one point where we all emotionally break down, that one scene at the end. We will get to it when we discuss spoilers, I guess.
And so, like, just to compare it with Ode to My Father, are there any like key scenes that are in Bharat added that aren't there in Ode to My Father, or vice versa? Things that were there in Ode to My Father that weren't there in Bharat? I can't imagine that Somali pirate scene being in Ode to My Father.
No, it's not there. Obviously, the Somalian pirates. I guess Bharat chose a different set of events in some ways. because Indian partition is not part of Korean history, obviously, and then Somalian pirates and going to Malta and dancing with the dancers is not there in Ode to My Father, but and Ode to My Father instead focuses on other major events in their history, and also like the Vietnam War, where a lot of Koreans went and served other parts of the industry there, and they have a whole bunch of Korean miners being sent to West Germany, so that's part of their history. Whereas in Bharat, where we have, in the 90s and the 80s, where the whole Middle East oil boom was happening, a lot of Indian workers went to the Middle East to mine for oil.
Yeah, so... but there is also, there is a mining scene in Ode to My Father, right? Too. Yeah. But is it like similar? They escape from it and all, like Bhai saves everybody, or how does that?
No, it's not as heroic. It's not as heroic. No, Bhai is not the one who's saving everyone. It's like quite. The main guy is not a hero. He's very, very vulnerable. He's just a regular Joe. He breaks his leg. He limps up for the rest of his life. And the mining scenes are quite gritty and quite, very heartbreaking at times. Whereas in Bharat, we have like Zalzala and all of those people with barely some sort of charcoal makeup on their face. It's a totally different level of grittiness. Obviously, you can't do that with a Bhai movie, I suppose.
Yeah, if anybody can stop a Zalzala, it's Bhai, right? Like, who else can? It's. So, would you recommend people go watch Ode to My Father if they can ever find it?
Oh yes, most definitely.
More than Bharat? Is it? Did you get more out of that than you did out of Bharat?
Oh yeah. Like I was totally emotionally invested in it, even though I had like only the bare minimum information of how of the historical bits that were depicted. I even went, whilst I was watching, I was constantly googling about the people they were depicting in this. Like in Bharat, in the initial scene when what's his name, Sunil Grover's character is in this circus, they talk about how Anthony Gonsalves was created from the egg scene of that circus.
That's really cool. I like that.
In this Ode to My Father, they also talk about how Hyundai was, they kind of weave that, the main guy who started Hyundai into the narrative. They also talk about a very prominent Korean fashion icon in this movie as well.
Okay. Cool. They don't explain you where Gangnam Style was invented or something like that?
No.
Let's start with a bit of the positives, because we'll get into the negatives for the rest of the reviews. But I just kind of wanted to highlight a few things that I really, really liked. And I did really like this movie. I tweeted it straight away. And I think I got a lot of people asking, is it really? Funnily, I didn't get a lot of people disagreeing with me vehemently. So I don't know if that's just my super high fandom that scares people away, but I don't know. So I really like the scale of this movie. Like, if you think of, epic Bollywood filmmaking, I think this is really in contemporary Hindi cinema. This gets as close as it can. Like, it's beautifully shot. They've spent money on it. There's a lot of CGI work, which I didn't mind that much. I think a lot of people were criticizing it. Like, especially in the circus scene, you can see it very heavily on Salman, but I do not think that it's badly done. It's just that it doesn't work when you also have Salman dancing, because clearly he's dancing like a 50-year-old. That you can't take away with CGI, you can't speed him up or anything or make him more limber, but his face and his waistline, the way they kind of, slimmed him down, I think that kind of worked, but it didn't work in the movement, but it did kind of make me feel, okay, like if I start believing in this world that, Salman is 20 years old, and we've all seen Salman when he was 20 years old, I could kind of say, okay, that works. I really, really, really like Katrina Kaif in this role. I think it's so easy to say it's one of her best roles, but I think She really works well with Ali Abbas Zafar. And I've said this before, Ali Abbas Zafar almost portrays her like a hero in his movies. He's done this before with Mere Brother Ki Dulhan. He did it in Tiger Zinda Hai, and he does it here again. I think the character of Kumud is amazing. I think she even does really well with the old lady makeup and the kind of dialogue delivery. At least she's consistent in it.
This is where it differs from Ode to My Father. The lady character in Ode to My Father, it does not get as much as what Katrina gets to play in Bharat. It's her own story arc in some ways. Like, she's the one who's recruiting Bharat for the mining job and all of that. It's pretty cool of how Ali Zafar, went ahead and crafted Katrina into the story.
Yeah, I think she's really good, and she looks the part. She gets comedic scenes, she gets emotional scenes. Her chemistry with Salman is pretty great, and I saw her play an old lady in Bar Bar Dekho a while ago, and this is like a vast improvement. And I think working with Ali Abbas Zafar in that context on a bigger scale with Salman really worked on it. And it's kind of terrible because a lot of the promotion about this movie was about Priyanka Chopra not taking this role. But I think Katrina knocked it out of the park. I'm really impressed with what she did here. Amrita, what did you think of Katrina? I'm sure you don't agree, but or maybe you do. I don't know.
She was definitely the highlight of the film for me. Like, I didn't expect her to be, well, that sounds like a backhanded compliment, so I'm going to take that back. I will say that Katrina is improving with every single movie that she's done in the past few years, and she's really good in this movie. I think I can see why they wanted Priyanka in the first place, because Priyanka would have done a better job, I think, with the script. Because there's some things that you can't really, there's a limit to like how much you can improve yourself. Like, not everybody is going to be Tom Alter, it's very hard to come in and like do that.
I know what you may want to say. It's ain't nobody like my Desi girl.
Exactly. So if Priyanka had been there, then it would have been like a slightly better movie, I think. But without her, like, Katrina does a really good job of being like you can see why Salman's character falls in love with her, and like you can see how she does a really good job of like moving from like her time period into the present. Like, you can see that growth of that character and like how well she does it. And I really liked her in it. But do I think that, like Priyanka wouldn't have done a better job? No, I think Priyanka would have done a better job. I do think that.
But I do think, okay, if we look at it like, okay, she might have done this and this better, but we would have lost the chemistry with Salman, which is also very important. And I think that's kind of the other side of the coin, right? Like,
Mike,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting. But like Mike McCall, he said in his review in The Guardian that, like Katrina's one of the few people who can take Salman seriously. And like, it's through her eyes that you kind of connect with his character in this film. And I agree about that, like what you're saying and what Mike is saying. Like, Katrina is basically like, like she's done that before also, like even Tiger and everything. Like, you see her sort of like grounding Salman when Salman is sort of flying off the handle. Yeah. And she does that in this film also. You're right.
Yeah. And
when was the last time Priyanka did a movie with Salman? Did she do any after Mujhse Shaadi Karogi?
Salam-e-Ishq she did, no?
She did Salam-e-Ishq and she did
Mujhse Shaadi Karogi.
Shaadi Karogi.
Yeah. I think
but you know what? I think Priyanka is a much better performer now than she was in like Mujhse Shaadi Karogi. Like,
definitely.
Because I'm like thinking of how she was in like Bajirao Mastani or like in Kill Bill, and I think she would have done like a really good job.
in this film.
The other thing that I wanted to also add, that Priyanka wouldn't have. She's a great actress. But that breakup scene at the shawarma stand with Salman, right? Katrina adds something from her real life to that breakup scene, some weight to it, because, we know what she's going through. That just makes it a bit more real, where for Priyanka, it would be a acting exercise, right? And Katrina is adding a weight to that breakup scene, which only Katrina can do. So I'm just kind of like, I understand people that say Priyanka is the better actress, but Katrina suits this role by her persona that makes things better. And I think that's great for her. And that's what
we're like relying on the audience's familiarity with their story and like their history and like what they bring into it. She does bring that.
And we do this with our male stars all the time, maybe most so with Salman, right? His off-screen persona is as much part of his on-screen persona. So if we do this with Katrina too, that's what's kind of, brings kind of the movie up to a certain degree. And I also have to say, like, when I was watching that song, Ithea, I was like, God damn, we are so lucky to be alive in a time where we can see Katrina Kaif do songs on a big screen.
This is true.
Glory, praise be to the Lord. Like, it is a sight to behold. Like, what a presence she is. Like, she brings the movie alive when she's dancing. It is amazing. It's like,
Katrina in a sari does like more things for it than like most women wearing like haute couture.
Yeah.
Like she's just luminous. Yeah. And the older she gets, the better she looks, in my opinion.
She does. Yeah, definitely.
We're talking Katrina in a sari, and all I can think of is the Salman Khan where she's dancing in the case. Oh. Yeah. My heart goes boom. Anyway. Coming back to Bharat.
So Katrina, I think she was great. The songs I didn't like whatsoever. There's not one song that stood out to me. Not Chasni, not Ocean with Slow Motion. Although what did you guys think of, apparently it's Disha Patani. I didn't even know that. I thought it was Disha Patani.
Patani.
Patani. But it's Patni. Apparently it's Patni. Apparently it's like, I heard this. It's Patni. I swear to God, like, I saw this Anupama Chopra interview and she pronounced it correctly, and it's like Patni, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So,
I have to look this up now.
Yeah. An actress that I have no idea about, like, I didn't know who she is, where she's from. So, like, I thought it was pretty cool for her to get this role and have such a big canvas, like now all of India knows who Disha is. Maybe they don't know how to pronounce her surname, but they know who she is now. And I thought that was pretty cool, even if she's wearing completely anachronistic clothes for the time. I thought it was pretty cool. And this could have been just a Jacqueline Fernandez type item number. And I think, again, it was cool that Ali Zafar gave her kind of a character, gave her kind of a story beat. And, she's part of that chapter of Bharat's life. And I thought that was kind of cool, where it could have just been a song. The song itself I didn't like. I did like the choreography though. I thought that was
It's a very Bhai choreography, right?
Yeah. I did like it. It felt almost like Ahmed Khan. I'm not sure who did the choreography, but it felt like that kind of thing. Sujoy, did you like any songs, or I don't think we did?
No, not really. No, we didn't like it.
And this doesn't happen a lot.
It's very forgettable. And I would have thought like, the Ali Abbas Zafar's previous movies have had all memorable songs. Yeah. I think, Mere Brother Ki Dulhan had really fabulous songs, and then Sultan had, and then fucking Tiger Zinda had Swag Se Swagat at least.
And Dil Diya Galiyan, that was it.
Dil Diya Galiyan was so good.
Yeah. Lot of good.
I'm like totally shocked, but Asim is right. Her name is Disha Patani.
Asim is right.
Asim is that stuck clock that's right once a day.
No need to worry. I'll bring out another burger chop element of Asim Verni on this episode because he did not know what Maut Ka Kuan was.
What?
I know.
Yeah, I did. I had to ask, like, Sujoy, is this a thing that happens? And do they really put cars in there with the motorcycle? I had no clue. I did not know.
I'm pretty sure they have it in Pakistan too.
I'm sure I've just never been to like a mela when I'm in Pakistan, I'm too burger, clearly. I don't know. I really didn't know. I understand the concept of a Maut Ka Kuan, but when I've seen it, it's just one guy on a bike spinning around. I didn't know there was all these other things that happened.
Oh, no. They've upped the stakes now.
Oh, wow.
Like they've got 2-3 bikes and a Maruti 800 with no silencer. Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, so since we're talking about Disha Patani, like, what was the point of that whole thing?
Her name is Radha and she can't have her Krishna. So that's the whole point.
Oh my God, kill me.
Yeah, do you remember the monologue that she gives? Like,
but like,
बचपन से मेरा नाम राधा है, so मेरा प्यार अधूरा रह गया.
like, oh my God.
Yeah. What this movie lacks is Kader Khan dialogues.
Yeah.
I swear, like, this is the kind of movie that like Kader Khan would have knocked out of the park.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been amazing.
This is becoming a theme for us, right? Missing Kader Khan on the podcast. Like, I think we've mentioned him a few times, but it's definitely like, because Ali Abbas Zafar is really harkening back to that masala type filmmaking and having not that, wazan in the dialogue, referencing an actual Kader Khan dialogue. It doesn't feel like it has that quality, and it's a shame. It really is. It's definitely true that part is missing. Coming back to the music also, the music is missing. I don't know what Vishal Shekhar have been doing lately, but they've not been delivering, and it's also weird for Khan movies to not have good music, especially Salman. Salman has been always very consistent in delivering good movies, so I'm just so surprised how they dropped the ball on this. But I did like the kind of circus element of it. It was kind of like classic Bollywood, almost veering towards Shrish Kundar Janeman kind of level of, bling bling. I liked it. I even liked the completely ridiculous action sequence. And it also serves like that, hero entry, like Salman in his prime, the way a lot of people still see Salman, this is the Salman they see, the hero Salman. So, and then the rest of it, we have to wait till the finale almost to see the Salman that people want to see.
But there is some, I think like they did some disservice to themselves by having that action scene and not sort of having a callback to his, Maut Ka Kuan days. Like, he's been a biker and all of that. They could have brought that back so that whole circle completes itself, and it made sense for him to be in the circus, in a way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is where that action scene, the final action scene, compounds all of the issues all of the problems the mistakes Ali Abbas Zafar did in this movie. And I loved watching his interview with Anupama Chopra where she's just following him, and he's so open about his filmmaking. He's bringing her in the editing suite. And I think of all of the promotional material, I think that was kind of the best thing that I watched about Bharat. And I didn't watch all of it, but I love that part. And he says, what we wanted to do is, there's a YouTube video out there where an old man gets attacked by 4 thugs, and they don't know that he's like an old boxer or something like that, and he beats them all up. And that's what we wanted to do in this movie. And I don't think they did that. What they are showing is just any random Salman Khan action scene with a beard on. And that is a mistake. If they'd actually shown it like, an old man beating up 4 thugs, I would have understood it and I would have loved it. But I think he leaned too hard on the bhaidam. And it's unfortunate because it's shot really well. It almost has these like, the way it's shot with neon, it almost feels like Nicholas Winding Refn, like, Only God Forgives Us or Blade Runner 2049. It's really cool the way it's shot, but it just loses all the steam. And the other part, which is also funny, is when the Somali pirate scene is happening, Sunil Grover very clearly says to Salman, oh, we've never hit somebody, or we never fight somebody. But like in 40 years later, he's like a professional, like MMA fighter. Like when did that happen? Like they should have either used that Maut Ka Kuan skills or thrown in that he's been a fighter all of his life, and it was either or, and it was neither. And I think that's where the mistake was, unfortunately. It's a shame.
And all these historical events, they are played for like laughs more than, chronicling things that happen in his life.
Yeah.
Like the passing of Jawaharlal Nehru is played for laughs as his, sister is crying at the funeral. That is played like, in Andaz Apna Apna, you have the Andhi Man Vidva Behan scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. And even with the Somali pirates, they start dancing to Pag Ghungru Band and they are Amitabh Bachchan fans.
I really like that part of it. Like it was obviously played for laughs, but it's also like rooted in truth. Amitabh Bachchan really is like that big of a star in like unexpected parts of the world.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. I don't think the execution was done well. I think it was just too much Captain Phillips going on, and like they build it up to a weird action scene with those water hoses, and then it just like deflates in this.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like a totally. It's a spoof of that scene itself.
Yeah.
In a disjointed skit somewhere on AIB's YouTube channel or something.
Yeah. It's like when you're a single guy, there's nobody there, you take Viagra, and then your internet kind of crashes and you're done. And now you're just sitting there.
Okay, you went there.
No, it's just like a lot of build-up for nothing. It just deflates. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, okay.
And the other thing is like, I'm not sure about this. Is it a mistake or is it a miscalculation? It's just this whole de-aging young makeup kind of thing that they're doing with this movie, because obviously they have to do it, right? And but then you have these odd things where Sonali Kulkarni is Salman's mom, and she's married to, and it's so like it doesn't gel well. Like the makeup works for Salman, he looks really cool the way he's like playing an old guy. It looks really cool on Katrina Kaif, but for nobody,
and they completely forgot about everybody else. Water Joke doesn't look old at all, even though he called Salman his Sala.
Yeah.
And then
Water Joke, they did the same CGI on when he's for the marriage proposal scene, but I don't think they did CGI. They just did makeup. They put a lot of like powder on him. It looked really weird.
Sonali Kulkarni just had like black eyes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you call them? Dark eye circles or something.
Yeah, like it kind of reminded me of like, do you remember Indian with Kamala Hassan?
Yeah.
It's that, except like less effort.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it was.
But disclaimer, Ode to My Father does not have better makeup in any way either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
who was it? Was it Asim that said like, he was just waiting for that Avengers technology where they're like Samuel L. Jackson to hit Bollywood, because like the Khans are never going to leave.
Yeah, that's what Karan Johar is waiting for, basically. It was odd, but it was funny because I just also watched Always Be My Maybe. I don't know if you guys watched it. I loved Always Be My Maybe, by the way, on Netflix.
Yeah.
I've been singing I Punched Keanu Reeves all 2 weeks now. But they had that same problem where you have James Saito and Susan Park playing the parents, and it's the same thing where there's like a 40-year difference. between Susan Park, who's the mom, playing in the past, and then she passes away. But then obviously the actor that's playing the dad, he's going to be playing the older dad later on, but then they have to put this shoe polish makeup and a mustache on him, and it also really looks weird. But maybe, I don't know, like, it was kind of that same problem where you know that you're going to be putting two people together which don't match the age. And I don't know, maybe it would have been better to get an older actress to play Sonali Kulkarni and then younged her up in the pre-partition parts. But I think also, like, the most that we get to see of Sonali Kulkarni is when she's kind of playing a younger mother. That's when she has most of the scenes, especially when she goes to India and she's like speaking with with the brother-in-law. And this movie has so many threads that it picks up and then it just drops. Like, nothing happens with that brother-in-law. Why does he have so much khunnas, and why does it, like, not lead to anything? Like, I didn't understand that at all. Like, he's a drunk apparently, but it has no bearing, no effect on anybody. It was like a lot of these things that happened in this movie and then they just get forgotten. It was really, really weird. Lots of weird directorial choices. The whole partition scene, like, where they put the two countries together. And I don't know, did that happen? I don't know if that happened or not happened. Was there? I
think it's a copy. It's a copy of "Ode to My Father" in that way, because there was a huge drive by the National Broadcasting Service there called KBS. So they wanted to reunite people who had been separated at war, and that happened for real in the 90s, I think, or the late 80s. And that was a big thing. They used real footage of people getting reunited through this channel, through this broadcasting exercise that people are trying to reconnect threads and only bits of information or fragments of memory that they have, and these are real people getting reunited, and you get to see that. And here you don't have that point of reference. There was never such a thing that happened via any channel in India, and so you have really bad extra actors trying to reenact very high melodramatic scenes, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. What did you say? What do you think of that scene, Amrita?
Pretty much what like Sujoy said, like it's I think like it speaks to a larger point in this movie where I feel like this was a good opportunity for them to explore partition from like a popular point of view, like from a mass movie kind of a point of view, which is something that we haven't really seen before.
I think they sort of scraped the surface of, yes, people from both sides lost a lot, and let's try to rebuild bridges. They tried to scrape that surface, but from the execution point of view, they've totally failed. Like it didn't evoke that emotion in me.
Yeah, and I think it's two things that work there, and one is like, as we've said, like this feels like a very subpar effort from Ali Abbas Zafar, because you expect better things from him. Like that he's capable of plotting better, and he's capable of directing better and of delivering better, because we've seen his other movies. But he, like in this film, like he lets go of like all these different things, and like it's apparently like it was too much for him. And then the second thing that he does is like, I think he's hampered also by the fact that we live in the political times that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that is a consideration, because he can't really hit for the, the whole Aman Ki Asha thing that we could do like 10, 15 years ago. He can't really reach for that anymore, because then it would be controversial. And when it's controversial, maybe the film won't come out. Like even the fact that this film is called Bharat, like it was, some idiot went and like filed a PIL in the court and said that, like it's hurting sentiments or something. I don't know what that was, but
it should be called Hindutva.
Veer Hindutva. So it is a difficult time for people to be talking about things like these from the point of view that this movie is trying to talk about these things, but also it's important for movies like these to talk about things like this at times like these, you know?
I think a good illustration of what you're kind of mentioning is the way I read that national anthem scene. So for people that haven't seen it, they're doing this kind of like job application thing where they're allocating certain people to go to the Middle East to work in the fields, and Salman's team, his 5-6 people, they're not selected, and he comes up to the selection committee and he pretty much scams them, right, to kind of get him the job. And the way he does it is by singing praises and using the national anthem, and everybody kind of stands up, and clearly they want people in the cinema to stand up. I think clearly that's what the scene is played for. But the way I read it, and again, I'm not Indian, so maybe that's again part of how I'm seeing it. Also, I'm just generally very anti-national, any national nation. I felt it was like, see how we made you stand up, see how Salman or Bharat uses the national anthem to get what he wants. And even if the sentiment is there, it's being abused for a different reason. And I felt that was kind of a very subversive way of, you know, trying to tell people that a lot of this nationalism is just being used to serve a purpose. But it was funny because I thought that Salman clearly did not pick up on that. But I do think Ali Abbas Zafar kind of sneakily put that in there, that you can read that scene in a different way.
Yeah, it's part of the original as well, where it is actually being played like that.
See that? Yeah, I get that, but I don't think the audience gets that at all. I don't think Salman Khan gets it, but I do think Ali Abbas Zafar gets it. And funnily enough, I don't think I read it anywhere in any review that anybody picked up on it. So yeah, it's definitely something that people maybe didn't caught on. And I think that's kind of in a precarious world where you cannot, you know, be openly talking about peace or saying that both sides were terrible. I think this movie did a pretty good job about it. Like even in the first part when we're seeing that massacre of, you know, the train coming to Pakistan and everybody's like cut up. Any other filmmaker, like the guy that made Kesari, if there was Rohit Shetty making this movie, the first scenes would be that the Pakistanis are distributing swords and the Hindus are running away. You know what I mean? Yeah. That would be the first scene. But here we do see that the first train that comes from India, everybody's already been massacred. And I think just that adding that little thing as a little bit of balance that I think puts Ali Abbas Zafar in my book further ahead than any Rohit Shetty guy does. And it kind of like connects me to another discussion that's going on. And I tweeted about this a bit earlier. There's this discussion going on about Rohit Shetty bringing in Chulbul Pandey into the Suryavanshi, Simha, what's the other one? Singham universe. And it's a really big mistake because Singham and Simba are straight fascist movies. Dabangg is a subversion and a genre remix. Salman doesn't get that. Salman doesn't understand why Dabangg was what Dabangg was. That's why he did Dabangg 2, which is just a straight up action movie. And now he's trying to bring these two things together and it's not gonna work. And it's totally fine that actors do not get what they're portraying, but I do feel that a smart filmmaker like Ali Abbas Zafar added these elements into his movie, and I don't know if he was scared to add more to it, but I already appreciated what he did. So that's why I do like Bharat for what it did, and in a very anti-national,
anti-nationalism way.
Yeah, he added some sort of, peace and some sort of sanity to the whole narrative, which I thought, and also it's something that Salman really does. Salman he's never made a movie that demonizes Muslims. He's never made a Muslim that, makes Pakistan the enemy. And I think that's a lot of thing why so many Muslims and Pakistanis and people in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East just love Salman so much more than they love maybe Shah Rukh or maybe Amir. And I think a lot of people ask why do people still support Salman? It's this reason. I really do think it's this reason. It brings joy to my heart when Salman does that. When he does it in when he does it in Sultan, when he does it in Na Tumko Bhul Payenge, you know, he adds these elements. Yeah, I'm putting all of these movies together. It does, and that's where, you know, if you can, he can do that in these terrible movies and make you feel, wow, that's really cool. That's where the Salman love comes from. And that's where Salman is different from Amir and Shah Rukh, I think. The movie had good intentions, but I don't think it necessarily... I think the scale was just too big for Ali Abbas Zafar to handle. I think he was beholden by the story beats of the original, and then adding also just this journey of a country, and then also serving bhaidam. It became too much, it became too heavy, and it couldn't become what they wanted to do. But I also don't think you can make this movie with any other actor. You cannot make this movie with Nawazuddin Siddique, right? It cannot be the story.
I mean, it would be like, what I thought was like, this is a Rajkumar Rao movie. After watching Ode to My Father, I thought this was a Rajkumar Rao movie, but because Ali Abbas Zafar and Salman is involved into it, totally is a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
You know, and because of how it goes through all those elements that you mentioned, it kind of loses track with the main thread of how he is still serving for his family and for his, the long lost sister that he is always guilty about.
Oh God, that scene.
In Ode to My Father, it comes back to him in many stages of his life that he's still trying to hold on to that and he's not letting it go. And in Bharat, just because of that cameo that we will talk about.
Let's get into it.
I think the emotional partition reunion scenes work towards the end. It all builds up to that whole peak just because of how fantastic an actor Tabu is. And how she just culminates that role in just like a 5-minute cameo. And otherwise this would have totally fallen flat.
Yeah.
You know? Like Bhai is left to cry and he's just doing his speak of crying in Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, where he can't barely speak words and he is choking on that. He's tapping into that part of his acting class.
Apparently, he was really crying. Actually, we have to take that back. He was actually crying in that scene. That's not acting, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Well, how can you tell the difference with Salman? No, but she's just, oh my God, like I cried.
I cried too. I cried. Yeah. She's so good. She's, oh my God. And when she pulls out that kurti, oh my God, that I was bawling, man. And he pulls out that sleeve, and it's so manipulative.
Yeah, it is. And imagine if that kurti featured in other scenes of in Salman's life. It just disappears for the entire story, and then at the last scene where he pulls out the kurti, she pulls out the kurti, and everybody is in tears.
Oh God!
And in the cinema when Tabu appears, everybody were gasping, right? Everybody went, Tabu, and she commands that presence.
Yeah.
Because was this known? Because I didn't even know.
No.
Apparently, people corrected me that this was already known for years when they were making this movie. I did not know Tabu would appear. Okay.
I didn't know. It was a total surprise for me. Everybody in my theater also was just a few people were just it was that. And she's earned it, like you said, she's one of the best actors that we have in the country, and she's criminally underused. And in this movie, she's just there for 5 minutes, but in those 5 minutes, she knocks it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, she knocks it out of the two countries, man. She goes over she's in China with her ball. She's amazing, and coming back to Always Be My Baby, it's on par with the best cameo of the year. It's you've got Keanu, hold my drink, we have Tabu.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And it also just brings you back to that partition scene, which was so well done. Losing your we didn't talk about it, but losing your sister like that, it was so real. Like, I could, like, as a father, like, I was in that scene, man. Like, I could get Jackie, I could get, little Bharat, the situation, it was, oh my God, like, the horrors people must have gone through in that era, man. It's, phew. Yeah, it gets to me, though. Like, those scenes gets to me. I wish they'd done one of those scenes. Remember that movie Heroes, where Preeti Zinta is kind of hugging the army Vardi? That scene always got to me too, and I wish they'd done something a bit more with those sleeves. But maybe they were trying to keep it for the reveal that he's kept the sleeves for, like, 40 years or 30 years or whatever. Age is a weird one with this one, but amazing. Tabu, amazing. I do like that they brought her back at the end for the Ithea male version at the end with the old lady makeup. And I think she just likes Salman, and I think there's just like a vibe with both of them. And
wasn't she in Jai-Ho?
Yeah, she was his sister in Jai-Ho,
yeah.
And her Bhabhi in Hum Saath Saath Hai.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So,
Mrs. Monish Behal.
The Sita Lakshman. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't mentioned Sunil Grover, who is the tube light, the shining light of this movie.
Yeah.
I think, like, I really enjoyed his performance more than anybody else. Well, like,
yeah. Like, he wasn't, like, usually when one of those comedy uncle things start in a film, I just want to slap the shit out of them. But I didn't want to do that with him. Like, I was like, oh. Yeah. Like, they have good chemistry. Like, Salman, like, when Salman finds somebody with whom he has good chemistry, it's like, it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen all the time,
Yeah.
Because usually, especially with somebody who's, like, much younger than he is, or who started their career much later than he did. Or is on, like, a different fame level, like, it doesn't usually happen. And then, like, when he finds like, that chemistry and he hits it off, especially in that bro zone, it's really great. And that sounds like I'm giving Salman the credit for Sunil Grover's work, but that's not how I feel. I just want to say, like, Sunil Grover does a good job of connecting with somebody who often makes it difficult.
Yeah. And I also I laughed at that underwear scene, how even, juvenile it is. But I laughed. It got to me. So yeah, Mike McCahill, you're wrong. It was funny.
Yeah.
He's our friend. Mike's our friend. So any final words on Bharat? Should people go watch it if they haven't seen it? I think the world has seen it, right? Like, and like, it's like
anybody who had business to watch this movie has already seen it. Anybody who hasn't seen it will never see it.
By the way, I went, so for Eid, I went back home and I told, like, my parents were asking me, did you see Bharat already? And I kind of...
I just had this image of, like, Asim's parents being like, so what are you doing with your life? Have you seen the latest Salman movie?
Yeah. And the son has to answer, yes, first day, first show. So they were asking me and I told them the story and they looked at each other. First of all, they were very emotionally moved by my narration. So maybe I should pitch stories to people. But they looked at each other and they were like, we have to watch this movie. So... it hits emotional beats for people, and Salman is a big enough star that it gets people to the theater. I also just like that story. I mean, I think the whole synopsis of this movie and everything is talking about the promise of, taking care of the family. What I found more powerful was wait for me at that store. I thought that key thing was much more powerful because that's a location and all of the world is changed around him, but he's holding on to that one part because his father is going to come back. And that really got to me more than I'm going to keep that family together, because that part really didn't resonate that much to me because there was never any fear that they were going anywhere. Where would they go? Like, like one bhai ki to tang bhi toot gayi, where is he going to hobble to? So that part didn't work for me as much as like staying in that location, fighting this whole, mall thing, which was again played for laughs. There's just these story bits where I feel the focus is at the wrong place. But otherwise, I really like the movie. I praise it for what it is. And it brings Ali Abbas Zafar into that zone of Rohit Shetty and Rajkumar Hirani. I don't think there's anybody else which is making these like big scale epic blockbuster movies that are making money. And Rohit Shetty is a fascist. Rajkumar Hirani is an alleged abuser. So I'm on team Ali Abbas Zafar, man. For sure. 100%. My money's on that guy.
Do you really think like Rohit Shetty understands what he's doing though? Like I feel like I don't know if he has like the intellectual
bandwidth.
Yeah, I don't think he has the intellectual bandwidth to like actually understand what he's doing with this horrible.
I think this is the same Donald Trump argument. These people are bad. They're evil.
Oh, I'm not trying to give him like an out. I'm not excusing him. No.
Because if you're in an interview, you're saying I would shoot a rapist in the street with my own gun. You are a clear fascist. Like if you put might above the rule of the land, like might is right, you're just harmful. You're a harmful person, and he's projecting all of those harmful scenarios in his movies. I really do not like it. It pisses me off really badly. So, you might be right, you might be right, Amrita. Usually you are right.
You do sound like you, it's been years since I watched a Rohit Shetty interview, so you probably know more about it than I do.
Yeah. So I mean, getting back to the Ali Abbas, I'm team Ali Abbas Zafar on this one. I hope he can deliver. I'm glad this made money. I'm glad that this has become like a Thugs of Hindustan, mounted on a large scale, and then box office failure. Even though the movie satisfied and had a good Katrina Kaif in it. It could have been, and I'm just glad it made money. Like Bal Bal Bach Gaye in a way, right? And
but even like Salman's Bal Bal Bach Gaye is like 270 crores in the box office.
Yeah. But I want to see if Ali Abbas Zafar can make a movie with somebody else though. Like I want to see what else he has in his sandbox.
I agree. I think they should be done. I think we're done with Salman and Ali Abbas Zafar for a while. I think that is the smart move. Like Kabir Khan was done. I think Ali Abbas Zafar, he needs to move away, not make a Gunde, but maybe make that Tiger Zinda spin-off with Katrina instead, right? Yeah. If he wants to play in that zone. I don't know. But I do think they should stop working together for a while. Because even Salman, if he gets too comfortable with somebody, he does not deliver anyway. And I feel in Bharat, there were certain elements where he was a bit too comfortable, So I think a break might be good. And I think, apparently, Inshallah has been announced. He's going to be working with Sanjay Leela Bhansali, which is going to set his blood boiling. Which is going to be probably a good collaboration, right?
That's going to generate so many interviews and pieces and
I just want like the movie to be done already so that I can get all the gossip where like everybody's like, oh my god.
I just want
content ki phir kahan milega,
I just want, Salman to pull Sanjay Leela Bhansali off the high horse he's been on since the last 4 or 5 movies. Just, ground this guy, make a bit of fun of him again. That's what I'm looking forward to. And we're done, guys. Next episode, we're going to be talking. So we're going to put the poll up. We're doing the Khan historical. You can vote between Veer, Mangal Pandey, and Ahsoka. And that's it, guys. We're going to be back in 2 weeks' time. Amrita, where can people find you online?
On Twitter at Amrita IQ.
Sujoy?
On Twitter at 9E3K.
And I'm on Asim Bernie. You can drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. You can also send us a voice note with your thoughts about the movie or about the movies we're going to talk about. Keep it under a minute. I think that's editable. And let us know where you're from, and we'll happily play it. And here's a voice note sent by Steve from London about Bharat.
Bharat was watchable, but it was mainly ineffective because Salman Khan was a superhero in the film. Also, there's no real relevance of why the film is set in the time that it is. It could have just been a film where, after partition, some Indians are trying to get back to their loved ones. That would have worked better for me. The music really wasn't appropriate. It just jarred. I mean, come on, Lagan did a brilliant job of, time-appropriate music. The Maud Kapoor bike thing really pissed me off because it took him how many years to realise he could lose his life doing that? Then he earns thrice his tankhwa working outside of India, but still can't afford to buy a little poxy Indian shop around the corner. He's stuck in the rocks, and then suddenly the curry starts working, but suddenly he miraculously finds an escape through the rocks. Okay. Guriya's eyes are always hazel green, and then suddenly Tabu's eyes are black. They make a reference to, ye to apne aap ko Praveen Bawi samjhti hai, or she's turned to Praveen Bawi, but Praveen Bawi was not big in the 60s. Like, too many inconsistencies. It just really annoyed me. Okay, bye.